What is up, you guys? In this video we're going to be installing the passenger and driver side swivel seat from Amazing Auto. Got these off eBay recently and they are far more cheaper than any of the other competitors right now, and so far the reviews I've read have been pretty positive. They do raise the seat about 1.5 inches, and for somebody like me who's fairly short, 5'7", we'll see how that works out. So let's get right to it. Here's the passenger side right out of the box. Fairly solid construction. There's really no rattle in this thing, but we'll see once I get some weight on it. And all you're going to need for this installation is a set of sockets. You are going to want to use a 10mm socket, and there's going to be 4 bolts, 1 on each corner. There's an airbag sensor underneath the passenger seat that's bolted in and clipped in, so you're going to need to take a 7mm socket to get that bolt out. Alright, with the seat out of the way, you can see what this looks like. Take a second to just wipe this thing down while I got everything out of the way. So you got a nice clean install. Here we are on the seat bracket. You know, I think the reason why this is so economical is because they actually use the same base, the swivel base, on all the camper van models, or the popular ones. So this thing can actually utilize the Ford Transit bolt hole locations, the Sprinter, the Dodge ProMaster, and I think a couple more. So kind of neat. Check this out, you guys. The seat is in. Looking pretty sweet. So one of the steps that you need to do is actually bend or cut this hook down so that it doesn't snag on the return of that bracket. So we're gonna do that right now. All right, we got the base in. I wanted to check how much it actually rises. So the advertised amount is about 1.25 inches or 1.5 inches, and it's almost 1 3/4 inches, so kind of interesting. I'm gonna go ahead and take a heat gun to this bracket here, and I'm gonna bend it down so we avoid or mitigate that conflict with the bracket, the swivel bracket. All right, with a little help from the heat gun and a rubber mallet, I was able to pound this hook down so I don't conflict with the swivel bracket. Some people use an angle grinder to grind this thing down, but then you lose the functionality in case you want to tie something down. So found a workaround and looks great. So just one more thing to note, the bracket that I did end up installing is an offset swivel. What that means is I can actually turn this whole seat all the way around without opening my door. And that's great because if you ever have to open your door in the rain, or if it's snowing, or you got your heat blasting, opening that door will just let the weather in. So another benefit of this swivel. Installation for the driver's side is a bit more invasive and requires removal of the battery and the battery accessories. You're going to need to remove the plastic garnishes for the emergency brake. Push aside the cable tray and unbolt the emergency brake and set it on its side. Unplug the emergency brake warning light harness. There are 4 bolts holding down this e-brake bottom bracket. You're going to want to remove those. Take this whole assembly out. And in the other clip I showed you guys, I cut this this portion off with the jigsaw so I can get it out, otherwise there's no way to do it. So you can see what this bracket effectively does is allow you to utilize new holes to bring the whole assembly down, and you can see there's a little bit of a kink in the cable now, but it brings the whole thing. Used to be like up here, now it's slightly lower. Make sure you push this battery cable tray back in and plug in all your harnesses, and you put this thing back together, and we're done, guys. There we go. Everything's now back together. We can start installing the swivel. Just a little pro tip, go ahead and swivel the seat bracket a little bit so you got full access to all 4 of the swivel locations. If anybody knows what the torque spec is for these bolts, please go ahead and comment down below so I can calm my anxiety on how safe this is. I don't know why Ford doesn't provide the torque specs on a lot of these parts, so kind of frustrating. Keep in mind, for the driver's side seat rail, you're actually going to need to install the bolt and nut upside down from the bottom so it doesn't hit the factory bolt. Don't make my mistake. Found that out the hard way. So the driver's side does still rub a bit right here, even though the e-brake has been lowered with the bracket. I put some tape there for now until I figured out a more permanent solution, but overall I think the swivels themselves are very high quality. Other than this little hiccup, I think they're definitely worth it. The seat height rise isn't really that annoying for somebody like me who's 5'7", but if you're shorter than that, that might be more significant for you. Alright, so what I'm going to do is just place these washers, I think these are 16th inch or 8th inch, underneath the factory bolts on all 4 sides. That should provide enough clearance to get past that plastic garnish. Alright, both seats are swiveling. Check this out, guys. Pretty cool. Alright, you guys, that's a wrap on the swivel seat installation. That took way longer than I anticipated. The passenger side was super easy. Just take out the seat and replace the bolts and install the bracket. But for the passenger side, you have to, if you want to avoid the conflict with the emergency brake, you have to install that bracket. And in my case, that bracket, the holes for it were a little bit small. So I actually ended up just drilling it out, making it drop a little bit more so that the e-brake could get a little bit more clearance. And that solved my rubbing issue, and we're good to go. So I hope you guys like this video. Let me know if you have any questions. Hit that like and subscribe so I can continue to share this video and all my other videos with other people who are doing the same thing. So thanks, guys.